So, besides having the best day ever, which I'll explain later, okay, so I was sitting outside um, of the youth hostel because it was such a beautiful day. It was like spring. Um, and I was sitting outside writing Austin a birthday card, talking to mom earlier. And then this like really hot British guy walks by and he was like, "Is this where you check in?" I was like, "Uh-huh." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so I like waited out there just in case it came out, Didn't come out. And I was like, "Okay, fine." But so then it started getting cold. So I came down here to this awesome like hangout space. Um, and then I heard someone wrestling around with the lockers. So I was like, "Oh, like maybe it's someone who needs a locker." And I realized that all the other lockers are like broken. So I was gonna give up mine. I was like, "Okay, so I'll I was gonna walk out there and be like, "Hey, you can take my locker. I don't need it anymore," or whatever." And I was expecting this British guy to be there. I was like, "Oh, all right." So I like saunter up, whatever, go out there. It's like this old guy, like this, and I was like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "Shit!" But I ended up talking to him and like explaining, like, "Oh, do you need my locker?" Da da da. And he's like, "No, I'm a resident. Like, it's fine. I just need my stuff for my instruments." And I was like, "You're a musician?" And he was like, "Yeah, are you a musician?" I was like, "Yeah, I am too." And so we started talking, and he's playing tonight in this like improv, like woodwind and band thing, like gig. It sounds so interesting. And this guy is really interesting, like really tall and gangly with glasses and long white hair, and he's kind of just like really interesting person. And we started talking about music, and he was giving me all of these awesome jazz places to go to hear music. And he was talking about the Mercury Cafe and how they do like poetry, like slam poetry, and how they have open mics and stuff. And I was like, yes, like this is what I've been looking for, is a contact to help me out with finding music. And so we start talking, and he's really nice. And um, then he was like, "So what do you play?" And I was like, "Well, I'm a singer, but I play guitar too, I guess." And he was like, "I can hear it in your voice." And I was like, "Hey, all right, like okay." And he's like, "So are you professionally trained?" And I was like, "I'm not. I'm brand new. Like I need professional training." And he was talking about his friend who's a jazz singer who would give me lessons. And like he's like, "We should keep in contact." So I gave him my email and offered me his friend to give me jazz singing lessons. And so like today has just been like, I woke up in a good mood um for some reason, and then during the day made choices that I believed in, um and wasn't worrying about making the right decision. I was kind of just making them and trusting myself to make the right decisions, because that's my expectation of myself. And ended up having a breakthrough with my career choice after talking to Gabe and hearing about all of his awesome journeys with this new job, and doing like these festivals or whatever, and just thinking about like event planning and communication, and kind of outlining like where yoga teaching and where writing and where music will fall into my life. And just felt really good about the choices I was making, and like the mindset I was having. And then talking to mom, and she's doing so well, and talking to her about Austin, and just feeling really good about the way I was looking at the world, and not tearing myself down or worrying, and just kind of being happy where I am and trusting that things are going to happen. But also like making sure that I give myself the power to make these good decisions, and to like hold a high expectation for myself, but also give myself the room to make mistakes and to miss the bus and be like, okay, and putting myself out there, talking to people, and even like talking at the bus stop when I was in a really bad mood, first getting on the bus, and I talked to the FEMA Corps team leaders and ended up like giving them advice and going out to dinner with them, and talking to the cab driver, and she's just like, you should take a cab at night, and just, I don't know, just being intentional but going for it and allowing myself to feel stupid or feel insecure, and just being okay with whatever I'm feeling. And so even in situations like that with John, like having just talked to Mom about this, just practicing, like even in like Hindu scripture and like religion, like reading something so divine and so good, the theory of being good, 90% of that is practice, and how important that is to actually practice what you're teaching yourself, and learning through your practice and learning through mistakes, but practicing, like offering a locker to someone, even if it was motivated by something selfish and materialistic or whatever, just like putting yourself out there and not being afraid of how you're looking or how you're presenting yourself, because if you're presenting yourself in a way that you trust that is going to be good, and you always, like, if I hold my own expectation as to always act with good intentions and always respond in a healthy way to problems or to someone asking advice, or to always respond in a healthy way to my own thoughts that might be destructive to myself, if I always respond in a healthy, positive, and good way as much as possible, and I trust myself that I'm going to do that, then I don't have to worry about every experience or every interaction I have with people, because it's always going to come from a genuine place. And so I'm really excited, because this is the first time in a long time that I've had the space, A, and B, given myself the space, like emotionally and spiritually and mentally, like given my own self the space to self-reflect in a positive way and correct the things or work on the things or address the things that have been causing myself problems, and problems that have not had to be there because of my own choices. So I'm really excited to keep having interactions with people and to keep like interacting with myself, and to also like work with the girls at the Denver Green School, because if I want to be teaching young kids how to make good decisions, I want to be a role model of that. And I was talking to Mom about this earlier, about how important it is, like for her as a mom, like she knows this, like how important it is if you're teaching your child something to be actually role modeling it in a positive way, and to like actually do what you're saying. And I think that's what the lesson of the day was, is just to act intentionally and act in the way that I intend good things to, like, act with good intentions, because if you have a good intention and a bad action, then you're not learning anything, and your good intentions don't really matter. So that's what I learned today. Yeah, I'm having a really fun time being by myself.